Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of League Chat with the Stat. Thank you for joining me as we cover all things round 13 and leading up to Game 1 of the State of Origin series. A very quiet weekend in terms of rugby league games being played. Only the 4 games played this weekend. And let's get straight into it. Before we get right into that, let's just discuss all things in regards to the NRL ladder. Leading at the top are the Panthers, after their first loss of the season. Still on 24 points first. The Storm continuing their run on 10 straight, second on 22 points. Para Eels and the Rabbitohs tied third and fourth on 20 points. Fifth is the Roosters on 18. Seagulls jumped up to sixth, 14 points, along with the Cowboys on 14 points as well in seventh. And eighth spot is Dragons on 12 points, rounding out the top eight. Now, due to points differential, they are ahead of the Warriors, who are ninth on 12 points. The Sharks, Tigers, Titans, Raiders, and Knights from 10 to 14 all sit on 10 points. And Brisbane second last on 6 and Bulldogs on 4 to round up the NRL ladder leading into round 14. Now, let's get straight into everything round 13. The Dragons 52 defeating the Broncos 24. And a very good performance from the Dragons, I thought. Now, the first half was a bit of a close contest. You could definitely see that both teams were right in it early on. The Dragons, that try at half-time from Matt Dufty, absolute brilliance from him in that first half. Once they got that try at half-time, they really started to grind with it, and they carried that momentum through the second half, scoring 3 tries in 15 minutes, and then just taking it after that. And I thought it was their second half, and I thought Matt Dufty was just absolutely sublime. And he just really proved his worth to the Dragons, even though they don't want to keep him beyond next year. For the Broncos, they were in it for 35 minutes of the game. I thought TC Rabadi was sublime for the Brisbane Broncos. You know, he's only played his second game. He's already scored 2 tries. I thought he played really well. But there isn't much else to say that's good in terms of the Broncos. You know, conceding that try right at halftime really hurt them. And they don't have that enough experience to be able to obviously guide them with that experience to lead them through to just that patch where they're down 24-18 conceding a try at halftime. There isn't enough experience there just to get them over the line and for them to recover from that. But yeah, look, the Dragons just tore them apart, split through them so many times through the middle. And yeah, it was really good to watch from the Dragons. Really good for them to just continue going along the season. They're still in the hunt for the top 8. They're just sitting right on 8th, so they've still got a big chance to claim that spot in the 8. Now, I just want to talk about Matt Dufty for a minute. I know he scored 2 tries, 5 try assists. Something ridiculous along those lines. Now, the Dragons have mentioned and made it clear they don't want him past this year. It's very tough to take in. The reason they're saying that is because of his defensive lapses. Yeah, and I've seen him struggle a lot defensively, which I believe can be coached. I believe that this can be worked on. I don't believe that Griffin wants to take the time to do that. But the problem here is that Matt Dufty is a real only attacking threat at the back. They've had Cody Memsey going at fullback, and he wasn't that great. And I don't know what other options they have. They missed out on Nico Heinz. Dufty is probably the best fullback on the market at the moment. And so I'm not too sure why the Dragons are looking to stick internal. Look, and I appreciate the fact they want to focus on their junior system, but Matt Dufty has been playing great football for them. Obviously, defensively, he isn't the best, but that can be coached and that can be worked on. There are a couple of clubs lining up for Matt Dufty. I'll get to a bit later. But I just thought his attack is just phenomenal at the moment. There are about 10,000 signatures from all the Dragons fans out there really petitioning to keep him in. It'll just be a matter of time. Even though he performed this well on Thursday night, the management, the Dragons really didn't budge and said, mate, you got to find a new home. Well, I thought Jack Bird played really well. 16 runs, 139 metres, a try, line break assist, a tackle break, and offload and 31 tackles. First game in the second row for Jack Bird, but I thought he played really well. And this game solidified the return of Jack de Belin. His first game playing in the NRL in about 992 days. Obviously, with that ongoing charges he had on him, which has now been dropped, and he's now back in the NRL. In 26 minutes, 8 runs, 81 metres, 17 tackles. There was a few defensive lapses in his game, but really, we can't be blaming him considering it's his first game back in about 3 years. And he only played about 40-odd minutes the week before in his return to New South Wales Cup. But it was really good to see him out there. Really good to see the fans really encourage him and cheer him on. Even when he was walking off the field, it got really emotional there as he walked off the field with all the fans clapping him on and cheering him on. So really good reception there from the Dragons faithful. But really good to see him back in the red V, and looking to see how he will adapt to the game and just the impact he will make for the Dragons side. The game on Friday night, the Tigers 26 defeating the top of the table Panthers 6. Now, the Tigers did enough to beat the Panthers. I just don't think that they played exceptionally well to put them away. You've got to remember Penrith had 8 players missing, so we've got to really take that into consideration. Look, they didn't play to quite the standard we know that Tigers can play. They really should have put this side away by 40, 50. Only a good NRL team would have done that. And by good, I mean Storm and Roosters. They should have fought a side like what the Panthers came out with on Friday night. Should have put away by 40 or 50. To only get them by 20, Panthers had a lot of opportunities. They just couldn't cement it. They just had a few flaws in their attack, especially in the halves. Burden, I didn't think played a phenomenal game. He played really well. He's played a lot of better games, especially at 6. That's probably of all the games he's played at 6, it's probably his worst one. It still wasn't terrible. There's got a lot of work to do there, but he's been first game at 6 in a very long time, considering he's been playing centre the whole year. But look, as I said, and with Tyrone May, I just didn't think he clicked as well. Obviously, we're not expecting him to be a Nathan Cleary, but he didn't really perform to the best of his ability. There was some times in attack where he just got caught out a lot, and they really struggled to gain that momentum through the Panthers. But look, there were short 7, 8 men. It was good to see some of the kids come through and get a taste of first grade. Jermaine Hopgood came in, Jamin Salmon making his club debut. Eisenhuth starting in 13 for the first time since he left the Tigers. So it was good to see those guys get a bit more experience there. And I just thought James Fisher-Harris really led by example for that team. 17 runs, 154 metres, a tackle break and 3 offloads. Him and Kikau were the only 2 forwards to make over 100 metres. His partner, Spencer Leniu, 4 runs, 31 metres. He played 20-odd minutes, never got his spot back in the second half. And I thought that was a little bit harsh from the coach. Thought he would get a bit more game time. But that wasn't to be. But for the Tigers, they did enough to hold on to keep the Leichhardt faithful really happy. 18 runs, 174 metres, 4 tackle breaks and 42 tackles from Alex Twal, playing 76 minutes at prop. Again, one of my favourite Tigers players. Just his no-nonsense attitude, just to go out there, get the job done, regardless of what position, doesn't kick up a stink, doesn't request a release. He just goes out there, gets the job done, and does it to the best of his ability week in and week out, and put in big numbers in a 76-minute performance. The Storm 20 defeated the Titans 14, and I thought the Storm did enough to win that contest. I thought they played pretty well. I thought defensively I was really impressed, just with a lot of the opportunities that the Titans had in that second half. Nelson Asafa-Solomona really stepped up in defence, carried a lot of ground, and covered a lot of ground to obviously cover a lot of those tackles. And really put his body on the line a lot of times to stop a lot of the Titans' raid. The Titans, they couldn't capitalise on the amount of opportunities they had. Yeah, there were a few men down. Storm had a few men down as well. And I reckon for the Titans, this would be a game that really got away for them. You got that good feel story of Jaden Campbell debuting at fullback, which I thought was really, really good. I thought his performance at fullback was great. I also had a bit of nerves coming into the game. The tackle he made one-on-one on Nico Heinz was gorgeous. Textbook tackle. Absolutely loved it. The fans loved it as well. Good to see his father, Preston Campbell, in the crowd. Crazy that, when I was a 7, 8-year-old kid watching Preston Campbell, just tear it up. And now having to see his son play is pretty insane. So it was really cool to see. I thought Greg Marzio on debut was good. He's one guy I've been geeing up for a little while. Originally, his name's Greg Lelisureo, but he has changed that to Greg Marzio, making his NRL debut finally for the Gold Coast Titans. I thought he played pretty well as well, scoring a good try to open the scoring in that game. But look, as I said, the Titans really had a lot of opportunities and couldn't capitalise. They had 38 tackles in the opposition 20, but really just could not capitalise. And I think that's the problem there. With a bit more experience around the park, they should be able to capitalise on those. But yeah, there was just some plays, Brian Kelly didn't have the best night. Although there was a pass where he could have made that could have tied the scores up, that could have really made the game very interesting, but wasn't to be. I thought the standout performer for me across both sides was Jamin Joloff, playing probably the best game of his career. 16 runs, 161 metres, a tackle break, and 16 tackles. I thought it was really solid. Jamin Joloff, probably his best game I've ever seen him play. Just the way he gets that ball and just runs it up hard, and especially because of the fact that he knows that he had to step it up. Fodawaker being down at Origin, as long as Fa'asua Malawi and Dave Fafita, 3 huge names in that side. So he knew he had to step it up. 16 runs, 161 metres and a tackle break really did the job well for them. Now, the Eels 40 defeated the Knights 4. Very convincing win by the Eels. They really dominated early on and then just ran away with it. Unfortunately, Knights don't have that much experience in the back line to kind of stop a lot of the raids. But I thought it was really good from the Eels that they didn't take their foot off the pedal and they just kept it at the throat of the Knights for about 70-odd minutes there. I don't have much else to say about the Newcastle Knights. I feel like any time that there's sort of a special occasion, similar to the Tigers, they don't really like to deliver. They were down David Clemmer and Saifidi. Still missing Ponga, still missing Pearce. But to lose at home on an odd boys day, for me, it's not an excuse. I think it's not on. I just thought that they really lacked any cohesion. Jake Clifford coming in, making his club debut, didn't really play as good as he could. He needs some time to obviously adapt into the Knights systems and get a grasp of it. But yeah, the Knights, they were really disgusting, and I don't have much to say about them. They have such good talent in the team. Even though they were missing a few players, I still think it's not good enough to have 40 put on you at home. Eels will be fuming about that try at the end of the game. With 9 minutes to go, that was given to the Knights. Not that there was anything wrong with it, but leading 40-0 and then having that try, conceded against you, obviously not ideal. But look, one taken out from the game was Sean Lane off the bench, playing 57 minutes, 18 runs, 175 metres, line break assist, a try assist, 2 tackle breaks, 3 offloads, and 25 tackles. Big news there. Absolutely killed it for them. And actually taking on his role to play off the bench, with Isaiah Papali'i and Ryan Madison playing phenomenal football starting at the moment. So I thought, Sean Lane coming off the bench actually played really, really well. Let's move over to news around the NRL world. The Sharks have confirmed the signing of Nico Heinz on a 3-year, $1.8 million deal from next year to play 5'8". I think it's a great signing by Craig Fitzgibbon and the Cronulla Sharks. George Burgess announced his retirement from Super League, I think it was last year, due to that hip surgery he had. Now he's feeling really fresh and has had preliminary talks with the Dragons about making a return to the NRL. Phil Gould has rejected a role as general manager or director of football at the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. His reason for the rejection is because he's committed to the cause over at the Warriors. So it's good to see a bit of loyalty displayed there, but I would have absolutely killed to have someone like Phil Gould at the Bulldogs. Having played there, having won premierships there, as a coach as well, and just what he's done in the game would be a huge beneficiary to the club, considering in the state that we're in at the moment. It's a big loss for the club, but as I said, it's a huge game for the Warriors. They keep continuing to do the work there. But we tried to reach out, and Phil Gould politely rejected that offer. The Broncos have confirmed interest in Dane Gagai and Kurt Capewell, as well as Jaden Sewer. Around Kurt Capewell, Cowboys have actually tabled a formal offer to Kurt Capewell, a 2-year deal. If they do get him over the line, they will consider extending him over to a 3rd year. Justin Vargas re-signed with the Warriors on a 2-year deal, keeping at the club to the end of 2023. Aaron Woods, Josh Dugan, Sean Johnson have been told their services will not be required next year at the Cronulla Sharks, with the rebuild starting for Craig Fitzgibbon. Bulldogs and Souths have been linked to Sean Johnson at this stage. Not sure why the Souths would be interested since they got rid of Adam Reynolds. But the Bulldogs are keen on everyone that's off contract at the moment. Now, the Cowboys, the Tigers and the Dogs, again, keen on Dale Finucane. The Storm are doing everything they absolutely can to keep him at the club. But Finucane wants a big money contract. He's looking at $700,000 a season. Big money. But these clubs, Tigers and Bulldogs will definitely need someone like Dale Finucane in their side. Not sure where the Cowboys would play him if you went, to be quite honest with you. But again, that's more of a conversation around Jason Taumalolo, Francis Molo going as well. It'll be interesting to see where Dale Finucane will fit in the Cowboys plan should he sign over. Dave Donnie here prior to the Brisbane game against the Dragons on Thursday night confirmed that they'll be working with Cyril Nkobo and Jermaine Osako as their fullbacks for 2022 onwards, and won't be looking to look at anyone else for the fullback role. After the performance on Thursday night, it looks like Matt Dufty has actually gained some interest from the Brisbane Broncos, and they are looking pretty interested to meet with him. Just on Matt Dufty, the Raiders have met with him today and have given him a tour of the facilities of the club. Now, what their plans are to do is they are looking to have him at fullback with Charles Nico-Klokstad moving to the centres from next year. Any rumours of Matt Dufty going immediately is not happening. Just to put those rumours to bed, he'll be playing out the year at the Dragons before being moved on to whichever club signs him. Raiders are yet to table a formal offer as of yet, but they are still very keen on signing Matt Dufty for next year. Tom Opportunities has extended his deal with Parramatta Eels to the end of 2022. I think it's pretty good considering he's actually been playing all right. So he's scored an extra year in his contract. The Brisbane are close to signing Jordan Pereira, who's considering signing a 2-year deal with the club. Now, Tim Sheens has come back to the Tigers. After 10 years away from the game, has decided to come back to the Tigers as head of football. And will start that job in the next 4 to 5 weeks once he gets once he leaves England, comes and does his 14-day isolation in Australia. Curtis Scott has been stood down by the club for more club duties at Canberra for getting into a fight at a Canberra nightclub. Turns out that he he broke a guy's jaw and left him concussed. Club is investigating at the moment. My opinion on this is that I reckon there's a chance that they could tear up his contract. Now, Ricky Stewart does have a thing where he's very loyal to his players, but I think he's been in the media for too many wrong reasons over the last couple of years. And so I think it'll be smart if Ricky Stewart was to part ways with Curtis Scott. Then Arumea is re-signed with the Storm to the end of 2022. Just finally been put pen to paper. Speaking of putting pen to paper, Titans have signed Paul Turner on a 2-year deal as well. Very sad announcement. Brett Morris has announced his immediate retirement from the game. Obviously injuring his ACL in round 8 against the Knights. He has decided to call it quits and move into a coaching role. Brett, having seen him play 276 games, 176 tries, played for the Dragons, the Bulldogs, and the Roosters. He won 2 premierships. He's won World Cups. He's played State of Origin. A phenomenal career. He goes down as one of my favourite wingers of all time. So just on behalf of the team here, Brett, all the best in retirement. Thank you for the entertainment over the years, and thank you for showing us what it truly means to be a gun winger. And to see you do it consistently over 16 years has been nothing but a pleasure to watch. So all the best in retirement, my friend. Now, the Dogs and Tigers are interested in a swap deal between Daniel Lesniak and Joey Leilua. I could not think of anybody worse in terms of their playing ability to bring to the club than Joey Leilua. The guy, one month is overweight, then he gets dropped, then he plays poor, has a brain snap, is suspended. I believe it's all talk at the moment. I don't think there's anything gaining momentum. That's the Tigers' rumoured player that they want to swap for Daniel Lesniak. The clubs are still in communication at the moment. I would not think it's a wise move bringing Joey Leilua in. I think it's really poor. But we'll just have to see what happens. Speaking of the Bulldogs, they are interested in signing Mitch Kenny from next year from the Panthers. Stuck behind Apisai Coruscant there. He could move over to greener pastures and get a starting gig at Belmore. With Sonny Katoa potentially moving to St Helens next year, and Jeremy Marshall-King also being looked at, moved on. The Warriors have signed Aaron Penang on a 2-year deal, the Storm forward. They tried to get him back in 2019, just things didn't work out, but they will have him for the next 2 years on a 2-year deal. Kotoni Staggs has been suspended to round 16, and he's fined $20,000 for inappropriate moves he's made on a woman when he was intoxicated back over the Easter weekend. This is, I'm hearing from what I've been told, this could be his last warning. He's just on the 4-year rich deal with the Broncos, but he's been in the media for a lot of the wrong reasons, nothing for the right reasons. So looking to see how he will bounce back from this, but I reckon any indiscretion from now on, it looks like he'll get his contract torn up. The Dragons have shown interest in Bryce Cartwright. Anthony Griffin being a fan of Bryce Cartwright and having coached him over at the Panthers, looks to bring him over to the club. And I'm hearing that Matt Moreland is considering an offer in the English Super League. The Sharks came to the table and lowballed him with a very little offer. Considering that Moreland has been injured for a lot of his time at Cronulla with a lot of that hamstring issues, and he's playing good football this year. Fitzgibbon we'll be happy to keep him, but just on a lower offer than what he's actually being offered at the moment. So currently he's on about $850,000 a season. That ends this year. I believe he's received a contract extension of $300,000, and he, more than fair enough, he's copying $500,000 pay cut. He's not happy. So he's going to be exploring his options and could potentially land himself in the Super League. Now, moving over onto State of Origin. Talking all things State of Origin at the moment, with it being less than 24 hours away, it's getting excited. I can't wait. Being played in Townsville is very exciting. I just love the fact that, when you get to see Origin being done, the way it's played, how it's played, there's nothing better. And I'm just really looking forward to the contest. I reckon Queensland are heavy favourites, but I'm finding a way to think New South Wales can still win this. But it's going to be quite the game. It's going to be quite the series. I'm really looking forward to it. So many things I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see how the Panthers halves will kill it in Origin. Excited to see the Troll back in Origin playing in the centres. Last time he played in the centres, he absolutely dismantled Will Chambers. Queensland's full pack I'm excited to see. Val Holmes, who played fullback last year, playing fullback again, is going to be someone to watch out for. So many things going on. I just can't wait. I love this time Origin. I love, when we come out and clubs, have that bye round, which was last round, and we just get to relax and we just see the best players for New South Wales and for Queensland just go out and dominate. And I think it's really good for the people over at Townsville, getting a new stadium, Queensland Country Bank Stadium. And I'm really keen to see, all the people gather around and have a full sold out stadium there. It's going to be quite the game. I'm going to go New South Wales by 4. Even though I'm a born and bred New South Welshman, I'm going to go New South Wales by 4. I think they can get the job done. I just think the backline is exceptional for New South Wales. But it all depends on the halves combination. But look, Queensland have a habit of targeting the halves. And Cleary hasn't really stepped up in the Origin yet. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do. Hopefully Luai can just do his magic. Even though it's a whole different ball game, I'm sure he'll be heavily targeted. I'm more looking forward to seeing Brian To'o, especially when the way he comes out of his own line. I know he's going to be targeted by Queensland as well. So I'm really looking forward to see all that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the injection off the bench. Jack White come off the bench in that U2 while playing a bit of second row. Can't wait to see, Payne Haas, Junior Paulo, Mitch Kenny come on and just make a massive impact on that team. So much to get excited for. Make sure you tune in tomorrow night, 8:10 kickoff. It's going to be very exciting. I'm so keen. I can't wait. It's going to be the best. Round 14 talking points. So now, guys, just so you're aware, the sides that have been named will definitely change. There are a lot of players that have been named that are playing Origin on Wednesday. That will definitely change. So just keep that in mind. On Friday night, the Seagulls take on the Cowboys. Hazard's named Cherry Evans, Tom Trbojevic and Jake Trbojevic to back up after the series opener. Pending to see, obviously, what happens. Josh Schuster is out, replaced by Kieran Foran with a calf injury. Kieran Foran's back from the hand injury. Hamali Olakawatu will take the spot of Sean Kepi, who's suspended. For the Cowboys, Jason Tamalolo, Francis Muller, and Lachlan Burr return. 3 massive inclusions for the Cowboys. Helium Lukey has been dropped due to not meeting the club standards over the last 10 days. And Tom Dearden will make his club debut and take the spot of Jake Clifford, who's gone over to the Newcastle Knights. I'm going to get tipped Seagulls at this stage. I could definitely change with the players named in Origin. And I want to go Seagulls by 8. Sharks will be taking on the Panthers in the second Friday night clash. Andrew Fifita, who's replacing Franklin Pele on the bench. And the only change for the Sharks. For the Panthers, Api Coruscant, who's named 19th man for New South Wales, will take the spot of Mitch Kenny. And Moses Leota will take the spot of Spencer Leniu, going over to the bench. And Joanna Hopgood and I believe James Salmon moving over to the reserves. The 7 Origin players that were named for the Panthers, in the Panthers side, are all named on an extended bench. Pending, there's a chance that they could back up. And if they don't back up, they will be rested again for that week. The Titans will be taking on the Roosters Saturday, 3 o'clock. Now, Dave Fifita, Tina Fa'asumaleawi and Moeaki Fodawaker have all been named to back up, forcing Jamin Joloff and Sam McIntyre to the bench. And Sam Stone will be moved to the reserves. AJ Boomson's also been named. And they've got Jaden Campbell in the reserves in case Boomson can't back up due to that knee bruising. For the Roosters, Angus Crichton and Isaac Liu return from suspension and eye injury respectively. Tedesco's been named to back up for Origin 1 in a rejig backline. John Manny will go to the centres. Lachlan Lamb back at 6 and Sam Walker back in 7 and after being rested against the Raiders. In this game, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. Get a lot of players get their reinforcements back. I do think Titans will get this one, and I reckon they'll bounce back by 8 points. Rabbitohs taking on the Newcastle Knights. Origin players have been named to back up for the Rabbitohs, except Dan Gagai, who's had tonsillitis for the last few days. He's been replaced by Braden Burns, and Mark Nichols takes the spot of Jai Arrow, who will not be backing up from Origin as well. For the Knights, Daniel Saifidi has been named in the starting side, pushing Suaso Sud to the bench and Matt Croker out of the 17. And Naratala will shift from centre to wing. Kurt Mann will go into the centres, with Phoenix Crossland coming back into the 7 jersey, partnering Clifford in the halves, which is really intriguing. This game, I'm going to go the Rabbitohs. I think with the players backing up, I still think they have what it takes to get over the Knights. With Pearce, Ponga still about a week or so away, I don't really see the Knights winning any more games until they come back. So I'm going to go Rabbitohs, and I'm going to go Rabbitohs by 16 in this game. Raiders taking on the Brisbane Broncos. A lot of changes here for the Raiders. Bailey Simonson will take the spot of Caleb Aikens at fullback. Aikens, obviously, the last game at fullback was really poor and has been dropped. Semi Valime is the new winger coming into the side. Josh Papali'i returns from suspension at prop, and Joseph Tapane make his spot on the bench. Curtis Scott, as we know, has been stood down, with Matthew Tomoko taking his spot in the back line. All this will mean Emery Gula will drop off to the bench, with Papali'i back in the starting side, and Corey Holsborough and Ryan James drop off the interchange as well due to an injury to his wrist and James being suspended. For the Broncos, for the first time in about 4,000 days, Carmichael Hunt will make his return to the Brisbane Broncos first grade side. First game since 2009. Named at 5'8" to partner Albert Kelly in the halves. Herbie Farnworth will switch to fullback. Joanna Sarko has been dropped, which I think is a very good move. by the Brisbane Broncos here. Payne Haas has been named in the front row, with Flegler going back to lock, Asiala relegated to the bench, and Ethan Bullimore going out onto the reserves. And Herbie Farnworth's spot in centres will be taken by Dale Copley. A very tough game, this one. A few reinforcements coming back for the Raiders. With the Brisbane Broncos getting a few men back. Again, they've changed it up again with their spine. I'm not really confident to see how they'll go. I'm going to go Raiders. And I really think they should win this one. And they should get it by 14 points. Warriors will be taking on the Melbourne Storm. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck goes back to fullback with Reece Walsh suspended. And Rocco Berry back in the centres for Adam Pompey, who's also suspended. With Edward Cossey going onto the wing. Bailey Simon and Josh Curran return. Moving Armel... keeping Armour in the starting side, with Jack Murchie, Kane Evans being pushed back to the bench, and Jazz DeFaga being dropped for this game. Nelson Sofa-Solomona and Raymond Smith will be challenging the judiciary charges. News coming in, Raymond Smith has successfully downgraded, so he'll be available this week. I believe they are currently still reviewing to see what's going on with Nelson Sofa-Solomona. So I'm just going to find out exactly what's happening there. All right. Now, once I find that out, we'll get back to you guys shortly on that. Munster, Kafusi, Adakar have been selected in the starting side. Harry Grant and Christian Walsh will come back onto the bench, with Brendan Smith and Asafa Solomona staying put in the 9 and 10 jerseys. Now, Eels will take on the Tigers. Before that, though, I do think the Warriors will take that game. I think with a lot of players returning, they do miss a few players, but I think a lot of players not backing up for Storm could cost them. And I'm looking at a bit of a shock here, going the Warriors to win by 4. The Eels take on the Tigers. Joey Lussick will take the spot of Red Marnie, who's injured his shoulder. He's out indefinitely at this stage. Junior Paulo will take his spot in the front row, with Marida Niukore going back to the bench and Will Smith to the reserves. For the Tigers, Joel Fahengawi will be playing at lock, should he pull up a fine from Origin, with Alex Seyfarth going back to the bench and Thomas McKaylee at the side. Eels at Bank West. I think they'll get him, even though Red Marnie is a huge loss for them. I'm sure Joel Lussick will come in and do a good job, potentially for the rest of the year. I'm going to look at this, and I'm going to say Eels by 14 over the Tigers. And on the Queen's birthday, the Bulldogs will be taking on the St. George Illawarra Dragons. Jeremy Marshall King and Sione Katoa will make a return to the starting side, to the side from injury and suspension respectively, moving Jackson Topine and Brad Dietz out of the squad altogether. Very poor move. Very, very poor move from the Bulldogs. Jackson Topine and Brad Dietz are probably the only two good things to come out of the dog side this year. To have them dropped altogether for Jeremy Marshall King and Sione Katoa is a very poor move, and that is going to definitely get exploited by the Dragons, who are named 1 to 17 this week. Dragons should put on a clinic against the Dogs. I just can't see the Dogs winning. Even though I'll back them, I can't see them winning without Jackson Topine and Brad Dietz not in that side. Just the energy they bring and the enthusiasm they bring into that side is huge. And JMK and Sione Katoa not in that side is definitely costly as well. So I'm going back to Bulldogs, but wouldn't be surprised if Dragons take this one too. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on League Chat with the Stat. You guys know what to do. Like, comment, share, subscribe all over your Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We're all over the podcasting streams, as we know. Hatch should be dropping this week. I've had a lot of delays with some of the orders and with some of a lot of things getting uploaded. So do apologise for that. Should be dropping this week. Anything changes, follow my socials. Get ready for Origin, guys. Get excited for Origin. Game 1 tomorrow night. Really excited for that bout, like I mentioned earlier. Get keen. G up, wear your colours, and so that the boys do your states proud. Enjoy your week, guys. Enjoy round 14. Hopefully your side gets up this week, and we'll guys see you back next week for all things round 14 and Origin coverage. Take care, guys.